Okay, so you guys weren't interested in some weird femboy alter ego that's trying to destroy the multiverse, and K-pop penis head didn't really introduce you, so how about a really hot snake that kind of looks like Raiko, but is, you know, just better in every way, because she's wearing the sweater, bro. Anyway, Ibuki Douji is, pretty good, so we got the nice curse memes with Van Gogh and Ashia, so it's like, okay, those are, like, kind of technical plays. You gotta use your brain a little bit to use those servants, and they're like, alright, but here's Ibuki Douji. Just go complete monkey, right? You just obliterate anything in your path. That's what this servant is for. Return to Buster. Speaking of, she has a Berserker deck. She has 4 Hunter 1 Quick card, 3 Hunter 1 Arts, and 3 Hunter 3 Busters, but she does have the 5 hits on her extra card, so she is already off to a good start. And I will say, her NP gain is really, really good. I just pulled Ibuki not too long ago, and while I'm like leveling her up, I got a crit on one of her quick card, and she gen like 30% of her NP, so she's got really, really good NP gain, I'll say that, at the very least. Now, her first skill is already pretty beefy and good. It's going to give her a 40% attack buff for 3 times on 3 turns, so it's one of those skills that you could say is better than just the flat, oh, I get 3 turns of this attack, because you're not going to technically waste it or whatever, but that only works when they last longer than the normal skill. So like, say you have like 3 buffs of attack for 5 turns, right? You're like, okay, I can make better use of this over longer turns, whereas this is like, it's just a technical worse self-attack buff, because instead of just getting like the 40% attack for 3 turns, you're only getting it for 3 attacks for 3 turns, but still a really, really high amount of damage that you're getting, because you're also getting a 50% battery as well. So I can't really complain that she only gets it for 3 hits when they're also just like, here's a big fat 50% battery, right? Here's some big milkies, you know what I'm saying? Then her second skill gives her 30% buster damage for 3 turns. No hit, you know, mitigations or anything, none of that. She increases her own defense by 30% because, you know, we want her to live. We don't want our snake to get killed, right? Obviously. And then she also drops 20 stars for her to play around with. So already pretty good because she's double buffing. The buster at least lasts for 3 turns instead of just 3 hits, so that's really good. She's also getting a little bit tankier with the defense. You can just pair this up with mash to give her like insane levels of defense. But then her third skill does NP seal to a single enemy, increases her crit strength by 50% for 3 turns, and gives her special attack undead for 50% for 3 turns, which is kind of okay. Like, the undead thing is kind of an L because like not really fighting a whole lot of zombies or anything, but whatever. I mean, it's a nice little buff, and when you do fight somebody that has the undead tag on them, you're going to be doing insane amounts of damage, and at least there's a decent amount of trash mobs that have the undead tag, so you can make some use out of it. Now, her class skills or personal skills, whatever, are pretty good because she's getting the 20% just innate debuff resistance, and then Dragonkin is really good because it's giving her some damage cut, which is good because that's extra defense, but then also just free 12% buster card effectiveness for no reason, so like better than most of like the madness enhancements that a lot of these berserkers have, so that's really good. But then her own divinity, while it gives her like the 250 damage to self or whatever, it actually increases her buff removal resist by 20%. So she has like 2 separate procs to basically protect her from losing her buffs or having anything happen to her in some cases. So that's really, really good. But then her NP is an AoE NP, and it is Buster. Return to Buster. 4 hits, so, and I'm not going to be genning a whole lot of stars or anything. I mean, Merlin might be able to help with his second skill, but I wouldn't rely on her to be genning all the stars. Although her crit star generation skill is not too bad, but that's not what you're going to be using this for. Let's just get that right out of the way. She does apply Ignore Invincibility for her NP, so you know there's no running away. This activates first, so you're going to get hit by this unless you're Castoria. And then it decreases the Buster resist for all enemies by 20 to 40% depending on overcharge. And if you've just seen this little guy, I don't know if you know him, his name is Arjuna Alter, he's pretty good. This is basically what he does as well, and he's able to rack up pretty big amounts of damage, although he capitalizes on that by doing extra damage to people with debuffs. But hey, they're both Buster servants, so this is going to work really, really well together because you could have Arjuna Alter and her just spamming Buster debuffs on their opponent. You throw in someone like Okita Alter and you're just doing ridiculous amounts of damage with how much Buster debuffs you're giving the opponent. Overall, Ibuki is very, very good. She's very straightforward though. It's like damage, 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 and I think they're clearly like just kind of throwing her out here for like a Buster farmer. I think that's basically what she's going to be used for. 50% battery very high damage equals buster farming. And honestly, I'll take that in this world of quick scheming and arts manipulating. We do just need our big monkey buster people to come back and do some big unga bunga damage. And Ibuki Douji is pretty hot, so I mean, that's also a really good reason to summon for her. So if that does interest you, go ahead and do a few multis for Ibuki. Again, I do want to say that we're probably going to get something pretty hype for New Year's. I know not a whole lot of people, at least over here on like the English server, are super looking forward to Benny Enma, but I know that people over in the JP server really love Benny Enma. And then last year's New Year's was Yang, the foreigner. I finally remembered her name. And she had like what, the highest amount of fan art of any Fate servant ever. Like, people went absolutely ballistic when she came out, so I would just expect something hype for New Year's. Obviously, you're gonna have like the guaranteed 5-star summon, but you don't have to save your quartz for that. I'm just saying, be ready. Like, they might throw something kind of cool out there. I don't know what it would be, because the last New Year's have always been new servants, so I'm not really gonna speculate on who they're gonna throw out, but I think you should be safe doing a few summons for Ibuki. But let me know in the comments if you guys are gonna be summoning for Ibuki Douji. Let me know how good you guys think she is. I think she's pretty phenomenal. But with all that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. You guys have yourselves a nice day. Peace late, everyone.